Have you ever had something just awful happen? Something that felt like the end of the world? Only to look back later and realize it was actually a good thing? It's a wild thought, right? Well, that exact idea is at the very heart of this incredible story we're going to dive into. It's got a king, his supervised minister, and one single belief that is about to be tested like never before.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're in this powerful kingdom, run by a very capable king. And right by his side is his most trusted advisor, a wise and loyal minister. But this minister, he had this, let's say, peculiar habit, a catchphrase he'd use for literally everything, whether it was a huge victory or a total disaster.
And this was it. This was his mantra. No matter what happened, he would just calmly say whatever God does is for the best. I mean, for him, winning a war or losing a fortune were just two sides of the same coin, all part of some bigger, perfect plan. But that kind of thinking, well, it's about to smash headfirst into the king's harsh reality. Okay, so this is the moment where it all goes sideways. The king, he loves to hunt, and he's out deep in the forest with his minister. What starts as a day of sport is about to turn into a serious crisis, one that puts the minister's whole philosophy to the test against the king's raw, physical pain. In a blink of an eye, the hunt goes horribly wrong. The king draws back his massive bow, the string snaps, and it severs his finger clean off. Can you just imagine the shock, the searing pain? Just like that, his hand is changed forever. And here is where you really see the two worlds collide. On one side, you have the king, clutching his hand, reeling in agony. And on the other, the minister, with his typical calm, just says, God did very well. This is a great grace. You can just feel how the king must have heard that. It didn't sound like wisdom. It sounded like a massive insult. The king's pain just explodes into pure rage. He looks at his minister, his friend, and all he sees is an enemy mocking him. He doesn't even hesitate. He orders his guards to seize the minister right then and there and throw him into the darkest dungeon. The punishment is swift and absolutely brutal. But get this. Even as he's being stripped of his position, being shackled like a common criminal, the minister looks the king in the eye and says it again. This is God's great grace, Your Majesty. His faith is completely, totally unshaken, even as his world is literally crumbling around him. So, fast forward a few months. The minister is wasting away in prison, and the king's wound has finally healed into a scar. Feeling like the accident is behind him, the king decides to go hunting again. But this time, he's alone. And this hunt is going to lead him into a danger so much worse than losing a finger. So here's how it all goes down. He gets caught up in the chase, going deeper and deeper into the woods, leaving his men way behind. And then, boom, out of nowhere, silent figures emerge from the trees. He's ambushed, completely overpowered, and captured by a remote tribe he never even knew existed. Now, his terror just skyrockets when he figures out why they took him. This isn't about ransom. Oh, no. This tribe has a ritual. They need a perfect human sacrifice for their goddess, Bhaja, and as far as they're concerned, a king is about as perfect an offering as you can get. So he's prepared for the ceremony, dragged toward a sacrificial altar. His heart is pounding. This is it. This is the end. His life is about to be snuffed out, miles from his kingdom, all because of what seems like just a horrible, random twist of fate. But then, just as it's all about to happen, the tribe's priest starts the final inspection. He's examining the king from head to toe, making sure the sacrifice is worthy. And this one tiny routine check, it changes absolutely everything. The priest just stops. He leans in, looks closer, and then shouts an order. The warriors immediately cut the king's ropes, shove him, and tell him to get out of there. He's free. But why? What on earth could have changed their minds at the very last second? Well, the answer comes down to one ancient, very specific rule. The tribe's tradition demanded that any sacrifice had to be physically whole, perfect. A person with what they called angbong, which basically means a broken or incomplete body, was seen as an unfit offering. Impure, unacceptable. And what did the priest find? Yup, the king's missing finger. That one small imperfection made him unfit for their ritual. The very injury that had filled him with so much rage, the curse that made him throw his best friend in jail, was the one thing that just saved his life. Wow. You can just picture him, right?
stumbling back towards his kingdom, his mind just completely blown. The minister's words are just echoing in his head over and over. This is a great grace. And it all finally clicks. He gets it. What he saw as a terrible curse was actually the hidden blessing that saved his very life.
So the second he gets back to the palace, he doesn't even stop. He runs straight to the dungeons, frees the minister, and just begs him for forgiveness. He explains the whole incredible story of how the missing finger saved him. So the first part of the puzzle is solved. But the king still has one last, very important question. He looks at the minister and asks, "Okay, I get my blessing now. I see how it saved me. But how is your imprisonment a grace? You suffered in that horrible dungeon all because of me." And the minister's answer, well, it reveals the final, stunning piece of the entire puzzle. The minister, calm as ever, just lays it all out for him. "Your Majesty," he says, "just think about it. If I hadn't been in jail, I would have been with you on that hunt. The tribe would have captured both of us. They would have seen your missing finger and set you free. But me? I'm perfectly whole. They would have sacrificed me in your place." And there it is, the whole picture. The king's accident, which looked like a terrible curse, actually saved his life. And the king's moment of rage, which also looked like a terrible curse, ended up saving the minister's life. Two seemingly awful events, two lives preserved. Just incredible. So, what do we take away from this amazing story? It's really a profound lesson in perspective and faith, isn't it? It's a reminder that what we see and what we understand is often just one tiny piece of a much, much bigger picture. The story really teaches us that something that feels like a curse today might actually be a blessing in disguise. A painful moment might be the very thing protecting you from a catastrophic one tomorrow. And maybe real faith isn't about understanding every little detail. It's about trusting that there's a purpose to it all, even when we feel lost and we just can't see it. And that leaves us with this one last thought for our own lives. Think about the biggest challenge you're facing right now, the thing that's causing you stress or pain. What if, just what if, that challenge is your missing finger? What if it's actually a form of protection, a hidden blessing that you just can't see? Yet,